Coming up on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show today,
we're talking about invasive plant species and some other species that are invasive in Wisconsin.
as well as mycorrhizae. Is it important to your soil? Can it live? Can you have it with a garden without mycorrhizae?
And we also have our guest, Dr. Rachna Patel. She is a medical marijuana doctor. She's an expert in how marijuana can help your health.
Plus your garden questions. That all starts right now.
It is the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show on 860 AM, WNOV, and W2936 106.5. Wherever you may be listening, however you may be listening, whether on those particular stations, the TuneIn app, the Simple Radio app, maybe through our website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. Which contains over 1,200 garden videos, short and long format. There's a number of places in which you can hear this program on live and replay. And there's a number of ways in which you can contact us. First, I'm your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
There's a number of ways in which you can get a hold of us now and post-show. One now is the Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard Hotline.
Ivy Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard naturally protects plants against damaging sunburn, insects, and rodents. Protects newly installed plants and trees, shields pruned and damaged surfaces for use on your roses, fruit and nut trees, ornamental trees, and shrubs. This product is non-toxic, environmentally safe, and organic. For more information, visit ivyorganics.com. You can call into 414-444-5250 anytime during the program with your question or comment.
As well as you can email us at twvgshow@gmail.com. You can also tweet us at hashtag TWVG, or our Twitter handle is TWVG Show. So we're going to get into the program here. There is a number of plants that are native to the state of Wisconsin. And we're going to focus on Wisconsin because that's where we're at. We've got listeners literally in every state, almost in every country.
We're going to talk about invasive plant species and a few other species that are non-plant that we should definitely touch on.
Right, but we're going to focus on the Wisconsin ones.
And typically the Midwest.
And a lot of these are in other locations as well, not just the state of Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, we're going to tell what the name of it is and kind of what's going on with it.
Sure. So, the first one, an invasive plant is basically a non-native plant that has been brought here, and it would invade other plants, basically. Brought here
either by human, by animal, or by the wind.
Right.
It's not just a human problem here. Nature also does this as well.
And they have a tendency they could choke out other plants or look like other plants and cause issues.
Yeah, lookalikes.
Mm-hmm. So the first one is hogweed, and it looks like Queen Anne's lace. But the problem is that if you get near it, or if you rub it against your skin, you can get a very terrible rash from it.
Similar to what poison ivy might do. Is that?
I think it's like more of a burning rash.
Okay.
I've never had poison ivy, so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the hogweed. So it looks like a much more giant Queen Anne's lace.
So if you're in unsure of what these look like, you can go to your favorite search engine and type it in and hit the image, and you'll be more than overwhelmed with images of the particular invasive plant in which we are speaking about.
But yeah, exactly. But Queen Anne's lace is also an invasive plant, but it's not harmful. So you might see it a lot more than something like the hogweed.
So the hogweed is invasive. The Queen Anne's lace is invasive, but the hogweed can burn you if touched, but the Queen Anne's lace does not.
Right. And it's I don't think people realize it's invasive because it's just like everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another one is garlic mustard.
Yeah.
This is an invasive plant. We've got it back in what I would call the back edge of the woods. It's very prolific, comes back without any problem at all year after year. Now, this is an edible plant. Am I right on this?
Yeah, garlic mustard is edible. It's got a slight garlic flavor to it. It's a leafy green, and people do eat it as like a green.
Now, if you're going to eat any of these that we say are edible, be sure you properly identify what the plant is. We are not responsible for you consuming plants that are wrongly identified by you, the person.
Mm-hmm. Right. So garlic mustard, a lot of people will talk about it as gardeners, especially more.
We've got in our garden, too.
Right, we have in our garden. It's around. There's a lot of
It's not harmful to us when we bump into it or touch it or remove it. It just can spread very, very quickly and choke out what we're trying to grow And it's got a really, if I remember right, and I'm pulling the right plant out, it's got a pretty thick root system that I can see how it can choke out the plants that's nearby.
Okay, so buckthorn, this is found a lot in Wisconsin. I know in the Milwaukee area it's more on the northern side of Milwaukee, more north. But this actually gets spread out by birds because birds eat the berries.
This is a tree.
It's a little tree. I mean, it could be a tree.
What I would consider a weed tree. It's very. There's really not a specific purpose for what we can find for it.
Yeah, but don't eat the berries.
Berries are poisonous.
The birds can eat them.
Okay.
But we cannot.
Okay.
So if you see it and you're like, oh, what is this berry bush?
Don't eat any berries that you don't know.
There's some trees by my work that there's some berries growing on, and I'm not gonna go over there and give them a taste. So, I would just say that be mindful of that, but definitely pull it out because once it starts to develop, it's harder to pull out.
Well, once it becomes a tree, it's unless you cut it down and put toxicity around it or a poison, you're not going to get rid of it. Another one is fescue. Now, fescue is a grass that is purposely grown for farmers for the cattle grasses. It's a very
for hay.
For hay, it's a very thick growing, heavy duty grass that a lot of pastures are seeded with this. There are specific fields that they grow, and this thing can get, and we have it in our garden. It's not a farm only weed. It gets very thick, and some of your lawns may be fescue lawns, so you can identify how thickly dense the actual plant is and how it can spread. But that is considered an invasive species in the state of Wisconsin.
Right, and
when you allow it to grow native, it can get 2, 3, 4 foot wide and that high too, with a giant seed pod on with hundreds of seeds that will spread very easily. On the farm, we have this. Where I grew up, we had this in our pastures, and halfway through the summer, we will go through and mow the tops off because those stalks that contain the seed pods actually can pierce and poke into the eyes of the cattle that are feeding, so we remove that portion so the cattle can actually get down to the grassy part of it without endangering their eyesight at all. So that's something that farmers will typically do as well.
Okay. And then, so some people feel dill is an invasive plant. I would have to agree. If you're going to grow dill, I would grow it in a container. And
catch it before it goes to seed.
Catch it before it goes to seed. We started dill in containers.
2011.
And in our front yard area, and we're still pulling dill out. And it was in containers. It just went to seed itself. It really does kind of take over.
Yeah, we've gotten about 2 gallons of clean seed, chaff-free seed from that front yard that we continue to remove. Now we continue to pull out. We leave a few plants for the native butterflies and insects, but we catch it before it goes to seed because it is just so prolific that it will seed so rapidly. We still got, I think, 3/4 of a gallon of seed left in the house that is clean, chaff-free, that we use for pickling and other cooking applications. That we'll never have to buy dill seed again.
Right. We just have a lot of it. White clover, also so if you're walking along the grass and you see these little tiny white pom-pom looking flowers, that's white clover. Bees love it. It is invasive. It's not harmful or anything. It will take over your lawn if it continues to spread.
But clover is a plant in which that is planted specifically as a cover crop in most applications because it revitalizes the soil. It fills the soil with nutrients as the plant grows.
Mm-hmm.
So
it is
good and a bad.
Yeah, it's a good and bad, and the bees do love it. Mm-hmm. So it's like sometimes with invasive plants, it's like, is it good? Is it bad? What's the situation? But it can take over your lawn if a lawn is a priority for you.
One thing that we've seen a lot on the news, not only in Wisconsin but throughout the country, is wild parsnip.
Yeah, that's another one that it looks like parsnip, but I believe it grows a lot taller than a parsnip, and that's an invasive plant, and it's causing some harm to some ecosystems.
And it can burn you severely when you touch it to your skin or you brush against it, not even knowing what it was if you're hiking or whatever the case is. Mm-hmm. So you want to be aware of that.
So one thing I want to talk about real quick is the emerald ash borer. Now, this is not a plant. It's an insect, and it came over from Asia. I don't know, many years ago.
They believe through shipping crates,
Yeah.
not by somebody physically bringing the insect over.
Right. And so what it does is it lays its larvae in the ash trees early in the spring, I believe, and then it basically kills the ash trees.
It burrows into the tree and basically eats it from the inside out. Essentially, is what is occurring here.
Right. And so what happens is that now the ash trees have to get cut down, and they just cut down like 20 trees by my work along the main road, and it's sad because these trees were growing. They're probably at least like 10 years old, and now they're getting.
I believe it's in every county in the state of Wisconsin. A lot of it, once it got over here, then humans helped maneuver this insect around through firewood and other means of transportation.
One thing you can do is just make sure that if you do use firewood, don't move firewood from location to location, so that you keep.
Is there a way to? There's not a way of removing it once the tree has it, correct?
No.
There's some ways of slowing it down or treatment, but there's not a eradication application for removing the emerald ash borer.
No.
Okay. Well, those are some invasive plants and an invasive species that we have in Wisconsin. And whether you're listening here in Wisconsin, in the Milwaukee area, or on podcast replay from around the country, around the world, you probably have dealt or have these particular plants in your area that you need to be aware of. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about the word mycorrhizae. Is it important to your garden? What is it? Okay. We're going to head and talk about that now. Let's go ahead. We got one more.
The zebra mussel.
Yeah, let's talk about the zebra mussel.
So mussels are little shell.
This is one I've not heard about before.
Okay,
so you're going to have to educate me on this.
So the zebra mussel is from, I don't know where it's originally from. I can't recall that right now. But mussels are little shellfish type creatures that
attach themselves to the rocks, right?
Right, to the rocks,
okay.
And then also like a watercraft.
Okay.
So they've spread out and. They're invasive. They choke out this other little mussel that's a native mussel. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. But so if you do have a watercraft, make sure when you pull out of the water that you
transport it from lake to lake or pond to pond. You clean.
Yeah, you clean off any sort of those mussels that are on there.
Well, that being said, we're going to talk about, when we come back, the word mycorrhizae. It's a word that many people are not aware of, but we're going to go over the definition and what it is and why it's important.
Got a question? Email the show at twvgshow@gmail.com.
Garden seeds do not have to cost a fortune, just 99 cents at mygardener.com. Now with over 450 varieties of non-GMO, heirloom, and organic flower, vegetable, and herb seeds available year-round. Pay less and get more seeds. Shipping as low as $2.50. That just makes sense. Go to mygardener.com for seeds and garden needs, tools, and special blend fertilizers. mygardener.com. It's that simple. Family owned and operated.
Are you short on time when it comes to grocery shopping? Yes, I'm talking to you. ShopWoodmans.com offers online shopping for store pickup or delivery on their over 60,000 plus items at Woodman's everyday low prices. Order online, select a pickup or delivery time, and create more time to do what you want. Leave the work to Woodman's. Also, check out the ShopWoodmans.com app. You can even make special requests, like specific sizes of produce. For more information, visit ShopWoodmans.com. Beans and Barley Market and Cafe, a neighborhood specialty grocery store for the East Side and Greater Milwaukee area, where you can find all you need, from fresh produce to bakery to organic frozen dinners, from wine to fresh squeezed carrot juice, a health food store with hundreds of products, vitamins, supplements, bath and body items, magazines, cards, books, and a knowledgeable staff. Catering available, open daily at 8 a.m. The restaurant serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week with a menu of good, healthy, homemade food, including vegetarian and non-vegetarian specialties. 1901 East North Avenue, Milwaukee, 414-278-7878, and online at beansandbarley.com.
Zaz Products, offering great quality supplements that can help personal health and increase longevity. Committed to bringing you the highest quality products at the lowest price. Find out more at zazproducts.com. Tall Earth Wood Treatment, all-in-one preservative and stain, offers lifetime protection and creates a unique silver-aged wood finish. All ingredients are non-toxic, eco-friendly, perfect for garden beds and veg trucks. Find out more at tallearth.com. Free shipping on all orders. Use coupon code WISCON. TWVG to save 15% off orders placed at tallearth.com. Okra by many names. This garden fun fact is sponsored by Minerty.com. Get your 3-pack today. Drop the tea bag in water, let steep, then feed your soil, not your plants. 100% organic. Find out more at Minerty.com. Always free shipping. The wild crop of okra originated along the Nile River near what is now Ethiopia. Okra is related to the hibiscus. Okra seeds can be brewed as a substitute for coffee. Many countries refer to okra as something else. A popular name around the world is ladyfingers. Shield and Seal vacuum sealers and the highest quality vacuum sealing products, unique black and clear and all black bags, protecting your produce and product better than traditional bags. Find out more at shieldandseal.com.
Blue Mel's Garden and Landscape Center offers an awesome selection of high-quality garden and landscape products. We have just the plants you're looking for: annuals, perennials, veggies, herbs, and more. Plus, you can always count on us to answer all of your questions and offer expert advice. Blue Mel's also carries the largest selection of bulk landscape materials in the area. Enjoy a beverage from our coffee shop while your kids run around in our huge playground. Join our growing list of highly satisfied customers. Visit the garden center that offers everything you're looking for. Visit Blue Mel's today.
Blue Mel's, 4930 West Loomis Road, 414-282-4220. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show is brought to you by the following: Flame Engineering, Eco Garden Systems, Bobex, Plant Success, Beans and Barley, Am I Gardener, Outpost Natural Food Co-op, Root Assassin, Manure Tea, The Gardener's Hollow Leg. Find all sponsors at thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com and thank them for their support.
Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Garden Radio Show with your hosts, Joey and Holly Baird.
There's a lot of things in your soil that is required for your plants to grow properly. And there's one that's called mycorrhizae. Now, Holly, what is mycorrhizae? And first of all, Plant Success, a sponsor here of the program, this is what their life and their business is all about, is providing mycorrhizae to add to your soil. But first, we're going to talk about what mycorrhizae is.
Sure. Mycorrhizae is actually a fungus, but it's very tiny.
And it's a good fungus.
Yeah, it's a good fungus. It's microscopic. The threads, they create threads, which are called the hyphae. And it's miles and miles of these microscopic threads on the roots of the plants, and sometimes grow in the roots of the plants. So it's like
I picture it as like a DNA strand.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that under microscope, that it just winds thousands of miles, so tiny. It's hard to fathom this type of structure on a very minute microscopic level.
Right, definitely. And the net-like web that they create is called mycelium. So it's just super,
and mycelium you can see.
Right.
It's whenever you have a pile of leaves and you lift them up and there's this white stringy stuff or white film on it. That's the mycorrhizae or the mycelium. Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So they connect to plants in two ways. One is called ectomycorrhizae, which it surrounds the outside of the roots.
So exterior. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then endomycorrhizae.
I'm guessing interior.
Right. Okay. Grows inside of the plants, between the cell wall and the cell membranes of the roots.
So we're getting down to a very scientific type of...
And very, very, very microscopic.
Okay.
So basically they wedge themselves, like, imagine between a bicycle tire and the inner tube. So not in the inner tube, but between the inner tube and the tire.
That thin layer, and it's pinched between the two.
The cell walls and the cell membranes. Yep. Now, the plants, they help the plants, and the plants feed them.
And if we didn't have the mycorrhizae in your soil, the plants wouldn't live. There would be no life for the plant.
Right. It's a very important part of your plant life.
Now, all soil contains some level of mycorrhizae, whether it's a tremendous amount or very little. That's the reason Plant Success has the ability to provide mycorrhizae in many forms in order to increase the level of mycorrhizae in your soil to help your plants grow better, to help your plants to uptake the nutrients that is in your soil much more efficiently for the plants to grow healthier.
Right. So plants feed their own mycorrhizae. So basically what they do is they The plants take excess sugar produced by photosynthesis
Okay.
and send it to the roots, and then they are able to absorb it to sustain themselves.
So so they're creating basically it's not their own food, but they're creating their own energy in order to,
Because they need that sugar and that photosynthesis process to live. But since
and this is and I want to clear this up. This is different sugar than the table sugar that you have in your cabinet.
Right.
This is a totally different structure
Right.
of sugar. Okay.
Yeah.
So we just can't be pouring sugar around our plants and helping this all process occur in our garden.
No.
Okay. All right.
So mycorrhizae do need the photosynthesis process to survive, but they can't do that because they live below the soil. So that's why they need the plants to produce that for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when we see a problem in our garden, Mike Novak, who was in studio with Peggy Malecki here a couple weeks ago, he stated the same thing that we've said for a long time. If your plants are having a problem, 90% of the time that problem is most likely derived from something going on underneath the soil. Whether it's a disease, whether it's a lack of nutrients, or in this case, a lack of mycorrhizae or lack of water. Only 10% of the problems that your plants are going to face is something that is above the soil line. Majority of this stuff's all under the soil. And with that, we want to have an understanding of what's occurring in our garden, not only below soil grade, but above soil grade. So we have a complete understanding of how the plant actually grows and produces the fruit or vegetables in which we enjoy eating.
Right. Definitely. So, yeah, and they help protect their plants against disease. So they kind of filter things out. They make a buffer for things in the soil.
Just like our bodies.
Right.
The liver filters out a lot of the toxins that we...
It's not exactly the liver
it's the concept of the
plant, but
yeah,
it definitely helps filter stuff out because they're so microscopic and there's so much
compacted in that
compacted
small amount of
spot. They kind of can help filter things out.
Yeah, okay. So under normal conditions, like how much... What are we looking for here? I mean, we can't see this unless it's in that web like we talked about under the leaves.
Right. You're not going to be able to see it, but I think if you feel that your plants are not doing well, it's not going to hurt to add a boost of that mycorrhizae from plant success. Another cool thing about mycorrhizae is that you're not normally going to be able to see them because they are so small, or if you flip over the leaves, you might see the mycelium. But once in a while, what happens is that, or not more than once in every once in a while, but mushrooms are the spores of mycorrhizae.
So if you see mushrooms, and we talk about this with our straw bale garden preparation, when we condition the bale, we see the mushrooms coming, and that's a good thing in the straw bale. It shows that the ecosystem is and the breakdown process is occurring correctly. In the soil, if we see mushrooms growing in our garden, it's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. It means
you don't want to eat these things.
No, it just means that
you've got a really good balanced ecosystem.
Yeah, you have a good ecosystem. I know, like, it could also happen if it's a very wet area,
right,
too.
Or if you have mulch of a certain type of mulch, mushrooms can occur in that as well. But those are that when you see the mushrooms, we're looking. People freak out about that and go, "Oh, I got mushrooms. Something's wrong. And it's not. That's very good.
No, it's
because
good.
you look on what is in the forest and the forest floor. The forest floor is some of the healthiest ecosystem in the world.
It's not been touched by.
It's left untouched, and you see all types of fungi and stuff growing, and it's a very healthy place. So if we can mimic that somewhat in our gardens, then we're doing a very good job with that.
Yeah, definitely. So mycorrhizae is beneficial. It lives in a symbiotic relationship with the plants, which means that it helps the plant help it. It's like a circle of plant happiness, and it's
a give and take. All of this under the ground, one gives, one takes, and it balances everything out. And without one, the other can't occur, and the plants don't grow. So if you have an area in your garden where plants are growing or weeds are growing, then the area has some level of mycorrhizae, because if there's no mycorrhizae in the soil, you're going to have dead soil. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Yeah, definitely. It's a positive sign. It's good, especially like you mentioned, the mushrooms. Those are good too. And
again, it's really neat that the mycorrhizae can help protect the plant against diseases. And soil, number one, soil has what is called a buffering capacity to begin with. And this is just another layer. And buffering capacity means that if you have acid rain, if you have some type of toxicity that you're spraying or pours on the soil, that it doesn't change the structure of the soil immediately. Now, if you have lots of that type of material poured on it, then it will alter there's only so much capacity, buffering capacity. It's a protective layer that the soil has to keep the soil healthy to the state in which it needs to be in order to grow the plants that it needs to grow. So, mycorrhizae, it's important in your soil. You probably have it, and it doesn't hurt to add more mycorrhizae, fungi, from in your garden, whether you get it from Plant Success Organics or not. It's something that can help grow the garden even stronger.
You're a fungi.
I'm a fungi? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk to the leading doctor in the United States about the benefits about with using medical marijuana. It's coming. A lot of states have already got it. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk to Dr. Patel about, and she's done studies, and she's got a hard data that shows that some of this really does help with the diseases that we have currently right after this.
Use Twitter to reach Joey and Holly at TWVG Show or hashtag TWVG.
Mycorrhizae is a beneficial fungus from PlantSuccessOrganics.com that will greatly increase your plant's germination ability and healthier root structure. You can increase seed sprouting, root growth, and general plant germination. Mycorrhizae can be used with hydroponic root cutting, seed sprouting, cocoa coir, and soil. PlantSuccessOrganics.com carries powder, granule, and tablet form of mycorrhizae. Increase the level of mycorrhizae in your soil to give your plant the optimal opportunity to produce incredible harvests. For more information and to purchase, visit PlantSuccessOrganics.com.
The Handy Safety Knife is a patented, high-quality knife that's worn like a ring, so it's always conveniently at hand and very easy and efficient to work with. That's why you'll find the Handy Safety Knife at work in a wide range of industries and applications. Learn more at HandySafetyKnife.com. Or to place an order for your business, call toll-free 866-294-3424.
Use promo code WVG to get 10% off and free shipping, one-time use only, at HandySafetyKnife.com.
Do you enjoy hanging baskets but struggle to keep them properly watered? The Plant Booster Self-Watering System is a mechanical system that will ensure optimal soil moisture at all times by reacting to the weight of each plant. The weight of each plant tells the system how much water it needs. Unlike a timer-controlled system where all plants get water at the same time, whether they need it or not. Also ideal for condos or apartments with no outdoor water source. Check out details, videos, and extensive explanation and ideas for application at plantbooster.net.
Rebel Green, responsibly made natural products that are good for you and the environment. Made in the USA, plant-based, vegan, and always toxic-free. Find out more at rebelgreen.com.
Use coupon code WIVEG15 to save 15% off your next purchase at rebelgreen.com/shop.
Root Assassin, a garden tool that does all the root functions with its advanced shovel that has serrated edges on both sides. Find out more information at rootassassinshovel.com. Purple Cow Organics quickly and naturally increases the uptake of nutrients and water to your plants with their new bioactive vegetable supercharger designed to meet the unique needs by helping the living organisms in the soil help plants uptake the nutrients more quickly through their roots and leaves. Find out more at purplecoworganics.com.
Haas Tools wants to help you grow your own food. From seed starting supplies, hand tools, drip irrigation, harvesting equipment, and a complete line of all-natural pest control solutions, they've got you covered. Keep your garden weed-free with their time-tested, American-made wheel hose that are built to last a lifetime. And their precision garden seeders have proven design for planting a wide variety of seeds. Haas Tools has what you need to get the most out of your growing space, large or small. Free shipping and outstanding customer service. Shop online or request a free catalog at HaasTools.com.
The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show is brought to you by the following: Haas Tools, Tree Diaper, Root Maker, Seeding Square, Rebel Green, Dripping Springs Oil, Zaz Products, Shield and Seal, Pomona Universal Pectin. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support.
The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener, your home for Garden Talk Radio with your hosts, Joey and Holly Baird.
Well, next week is the fall, or is at Blue Mills Landscape and Garden Center, is their first ever, it's essentially food farmers market atmosphere at 39 at Blue Mills Landscape and Garden Center. They're going to have crafts. They're going to have farmers market atmosphere.
And we're going to be there. It's a summer market.
There you go.
9 a.m. to 1 p.m., Saturday, August 18th and August 25th. And yeah,
they're going to
they
have crafts,
produce, music will be there. And
they got the coffee shop. Even if you have no intentions of buying fresh, homegrown produce, you can certainly look around, bring the kids. They got the playground. You want to look at some landscape material. They got 40 varieties of bulk material, largest in the area.
And I'm sure they'll have their fall plants.
They'll have the fall plants there. You can find them at 3940.
4930.
39, yeah. Let's do that again.
4930 West Loomis Road in Greenfield. 414-282-4220 or bluebells.com.
Yeah. They're next week. It's the August the 18th and August the 25th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Well, Holly, let's go to the Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard Hotline and bring in our next guest.
Dr. Rachna Patel is a medical marijuana doctor. She answers all types of questions about medical marijuana on YouTube. Please note medical marijuana at this point is not legal in Wisconsin.
Welcome to the program, Dr. Patel, and we greatly appreciate you taking time to join us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we want to start out with first, what does a medical marijuana doctor even do? What is your job, I guess?
What is my job? Yeah. So the all-important question. So basically, I walk people through how to safely use medical marijuana and CBD oil for their particular medical conditions. And with medical marijuana, I walk them through how to use the medical marijuana without getting high, without smoking it, and without getting addicted to it.
Okay. Well, that's definitely sounds very helpful. CBD oil is becoming more popular. Many people might not realize what CBD oil is. Could you tell us what CBD oil is?
Sure. So marijuana makes two different chemicals. It makes THC and it makes CBD. THC is the chemical that causes the high, okay? CBD is a chemical that doesn't cause the high. And typically, I would say, when it comes to medical benefits, it's about an 80-20 split, right? So about 80% of the medical benefits are derived from CBD as opposed to THC. And so CBD oil is basically, So basically, you have different types of marijuana plants, right? They make different amounts of chemicals, and some make more CBD and some make more THC. So basically, what manufacturers do is they extract from the plants that make more CBD than THC to make CBD oil. Now, one type of plant in particular that's known to make more CBD than THC is hemp.
Okay. Now, we've seen, and you've probably seen this in your line of work, the opinion about marijuana and medical marijuana is dramatically changing in the United States, but there still is misconceptions about the drug. And what do you feel is the biggest misconception that the general public has about medical marijuana? Let's begin with that.
About medical marijuana, that just by plain old using it, you'll get high off of it, okay? That's not necessarily the case. So most of the way that it's typically been used and the way that it's portrayed in media is that people are using it as a recreational substance. And typically when people use it this way, they tend to, overindulge. They take too much, and because they take too much, they get high off of it. But if you're using it medically, right, and you're using the appropriate dose, then you're not going to get high off of it.
Okay. Many Americans have high blood pressure. It's a very common ailment. Can medical marijuana help control that, or would CBD oil help, or both?
So neither help. Clinically, I've had patients come into my office that have had a history of high blood pressure. Now they're coming to me for something else, and they happen to have high blood pressure, and they've been using either a high THC product or a high CBD product, and neither, they'll come back to me a year later, 2 years later, having regularly used either CBD oil or medical marijuana, and I see no change in their blood pressure. It doesn't get worse, but it also doesn't get better either.
So whenever somebody comes to your office, and what determines whether or not you choose to prescribe them? You're in California, and where it's legal. Is there times where you say, yeah, I'm not going to prescribe you this because it's not going to work? Or how does that visit go?
Yeah, certainly. So recently, just want to sort of point out to your audience, in California, there's been a change in the laws. Marijuana is now legal for recreational use. So it's really not even up to the physician to determine, whether or not medical marijuana is going to be appropriate. People can just, basically walk into a dispensary. But for people in states where marijuana is only legal for medical use, and then in those states, a couple of different things can happen, okay? Number one, the State Department of Health has created a list of conditions for which the patient can get approved for medical marijuana. In California, I happened to be lucky when I was practicing through a brick-and-mortar office because it was up to the physician's discretion. There was no limited list of conditions. And so it was up to me, right? So yes, there were certainly patients that I turned away. Like, for instance, if they just came to me for blood pressure and that's the only condition that they had, then I would say, hey, look, this is going to be of no benefit to you because I haven't clinically seen any sort of changes. And so, honestly, you're wasting your money. So that's important, right? To know that, medical marijuana, CBD oil, they're not cure-alls. They certainly work well and better than prescription medications, but only for certain conditions, and that's the important thing to keep in mind.
Now, with your practice and the data that you have worked and come up with and found, what was the biggest surprise in which you found that medical marijuana was fixing, curing, relieving an element in the human body of a disease of some sort?
Sure. So the biggest change that I've seen is in patients with chronic pain, okay? And the biggest surprise to me was, so I went into thinking, okay, what I predict will happen is that medical marijuana or CBD oil will probably just be, another tool in the toolkit that patients have to manage their pain. And instead, what was going on was that patients were eliminating the use of prescription medications and just using medical marijuana and CBD oil to help manage their pain. And these are patients that have conditions that are generally considered resistant to conventional treatments, conventional medications, right? So, for instance, arthritis, for instance, fibromyalgia. These are all sort of conditions that, people sort of go through the whole a gamut of over-the-counters, of prescriptions, and nothing seems to work for them. And yeah, so that's what I found.
Okay. So many people might have the question about CBD oil or marijuana having drug interactions, especially if you do take something for high blood pressure or possibly pain medication as is. Would there be a drug interaction? Or, as you've noted, that it doesn't lower blood pressure, so it might be okay for if you're taking one medication but using the CBD oil or medical marijuana for another ailment?
Yeah, so this is a little bit, it's a broad question, right? Because there's so many different medications on the market. It's going to depend, right? So I can give you sort of classes of medications that medical marijuana and CBD oil that have not interacted with. I haven't had any patients, come back to me reporting any adverse effects. So this would be things like anti-anxiety medications for depression, high blood pressure medications. Now, research, on the other hand, has shown interactions. And a lot of it, what they found, is dose dependent, right? So it depends on how much of the CBD oil or the medical marijuana you take. And the reason that there's a potential for interaction is because just like all other medications, marijuana and CBD oil are also broken down in our liver. So they're all sort of competing for the same machinery to break down. And so there's certainly a potential for interactions, but for a lot of classes of medications, I have not seen interactions.
Okay, so how does one take CBD oil? I know there some people, just take it under their tongue. I've heard of people possibly smoking it. What's the best way to take CBD oil?
So there's many different ways, right? So it comes in the form of it can be inhaled. Typically, it's not smoked. But it's what's called vaporized, and vaporization is another method of inhalation. And basically what it does is that it heats the oil rather than burning it. And a lot of times what you avoid this way is the creation of what are called hydrocarbons, right? So this is essentially pollution that can be damaging your lungs. So that's one way, vaporization. Second way is ingesting it, right? So it can come in the form of food, like chocolate, like capsules as well. Gummies are another form that it comes in. It can also be, like you mentioned, be used under the tongue, and typically this form is known as a tincture. And then there's also rectal formulations of it as well. So a wide variety of ways to go about using it.
So we talked about the inhaling of it there. It's not really smoked. What does smoking cannabis, how does smoking cannabis affect the lungs, whether you're doing it medically or recreationally, legally or illegally? How does it affect the lungs of a human?
Yeah, so it affects it in a couple ways. I've always been of the school of thought that patients should not be smoking marijuana because long term it does do damage, right? So it causes inflammation, it causes a buildup of phlegm, so all sorts of issues that it can cause long term.
Okay. So with the CBD oil, that can be found in hand lotion, and it's not. Am I right on this? And
I think that's the hemp.
That's the hemp that's two different realms of the plant, correct?
Yeah. So you can get CBD oil that's extracted from hemp, and you can get CBD oil that's extracted from marijuana. And they're both high in CBD. The only difference is that the one from marijuana is going to be even higher in THC. Compared to the one in hemp, okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so you can get a topical form of CBD oil, right? So this comes in the form of salves, of ointments, and a common application of this is, for instance, for skin conditions, like psoriasis, for instance, or eczema. Any sort of inflammatory skin condition. So yeah, it is available in that form as well. And also topical forms can also be helpful for things like joint pain and muscle pain as well.
Now, whenever you prescribe, and it's legal to do in the state of California and a number of other states in the United States, is there a certain, and I've read this, that growers are crossbreeding plants to get different strains. Does that affect the way you prescribe to an individual that is needing it for a medical purpose? Or is it kind of a standard industry where it's this type of, it's identified before you buy it or you prescribe it?
Okay, so great question. Okay, so yes, growers are breeding plants. And they're breeding these plants to produce different amounts of CBD and THC, essentially, right? So the amounts of CBD and THC that a plant makes is dependent, one, on genetics, but two, also on the environment, too. So you can sort of manipulate the plant to create different amounts. And the important thing is, remember back when I said that about 80% of conditions are helped by CBD and 20% are helped by THC? There are also conditions that need both THC and CBD, right? So differing combinations help different conditions. And so, yes, that plays a big role in how I recommend to patients, what combination of chemicals that I recommend that they use. Now, here's the thing. In terms of actually getting information about those combination of chemicals, so a lot of it is going to depend on the state in which you live and what sort of rules and regulations they have in place for laboratory testing, okay? So a lot of states that have legalized for recreational use, they do mandate laboratory testing. And one of the things that they mandate testing for are the amounts of the THC, of the CBD, so basically the chemicals that are in the product. And that way, as a consumer, you then know exactly what you're putting in your body, and you can know what effect it's going to have on you.
Okay. Now, you have some really great information out there. I watched a lot of your videos. For people to find more about you, where can they find you?
Sure. So a couple different resources. One is my YouTube channel. You can just Google the medical marijuana expert YouTube, and it's one of the first search results that shows up on Google. And I'm always answering commonly asked questions there. The other resource that you have is my website, which is Dr. abbreviated DR, and then Rachna, Rachna, Patel, PATEL.com. And the third resource I want to tell you about is that I'm also publishing a book, although it's not going to come out till March of 2019, but this book is entirely dedicated to CBD oil, right? So it sort of gives you a roadmap on what you should be looking for in a CBD oil, how to make sure it's a high quality CBD oil and whatnot. And actually, if you just subscribe to my email list through my website, I'll update you and let you know when that's out for purchase.
Well, Dr. Patel, we greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to not only inform us but educate us on medical marijuana and some of the things that we need to be aware of about the drug beforehand.
Yeah, not a problem. I'm more than happy to help.
And thank you very much. And when we come back, your garden questions and our garden answers right after this.
If you have a gardening question, now is the time to call in on the ivorganics.com 3-in-1 Plant Guard hotline at 414-444-5250.
Pomona's Universal Pectin is high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar, honey, or any alternative sweetener you'd like. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Available at most natural food stores and online.
The number one key to healthy, productive plants are the roots. Starting from seed to full-grown plants, rootmaker.com has the answer. From seed starting trays with an innovative design that air prunes the roots, creating a fabulous root system, never again will you have root-bound plants, to multiple gallon grow bag sizes to raised beds. Rootmaker.com has your grow needs covered. Visit rootmaker.com. Do you have a problem with deer or small herbivores eating your vegetation? There is a natural solution that is safe for your pets and family. Bobex is the answer. An environmentally friendly solution to protect your plants, will not wash off, and is guaranteed. Bobex Deer was independently tested against 9 known competitors and rated 93% effective, second only to a physical barrier. Bobex can be used on all types of ornamentals, trees, and shrubs. Ask for it by name at your local independent garden center. Find out more, visit bobex.com. BOBBEX.com. Flame Engineering, home of the Weed Dragon, the perfect propane torch kit for home and garden use. For killing weeds, no need to pull or spray. 100 other uses. Find out more at flameengineering.com. The Gardener's Hollow Leg, the debris and harvesting bag you wear, comes with its own belt attachment, perfect for doing light pruning, weeding, harvesting on the ground or on a ladder, and many other uses. Find out more at thegardenershollowleg.com. Save 10% by using the word veggies at checkout.
Blue Mel's Garden and Landscape Center offers an awesome selection of high-quality garden and landscape products. We have just the plants you're looking for: annuals, perennials, veggies, herbs, and more. Plus, you can always count on us to answer all of your questions and offer expert advice. Blue Mel's also carries the largest selection of bulk landscape materials in the area. Enjoy a beverage from our coffee shop while your kids run around in our huge playground. Join our growing list of highly satisfied customers. Visit the garden center that offers everything you're looking for. Visit Blue Mel's today.
Blue Mel's, 4930 West Loomis Road, 414-282-4220. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener is brought to you by the following: Handy Safety Knife, BioSafe, Tall Earth, Chapin International, The Plant Booster, Ivy Organics, Woodman's Market, Blue Mel's Landscaping Garden Center, Purple Cow Organics. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support.
Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Garden Radio Show with your hosts, Joey and Holly Baird.
Ivy Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard naturally protects plants against damaging sunburn, insects, and rodents, protects newly installed plants and trees, shields prune and damaged surfaces for use on your roses, fruit, and nut trees, ornamental trees, and shrubs. This product is non-toxic, environmentally safe, and organic. You can visit ivyorganics.com. For more information, you can call in with your question at 414-444-5250 and or reach us at lots of ways.
TWVG Show at gmail.com, TWVG Show at TWVG Show on Twitter. We had a number of questions come in this week. One is in reference to a video we put out several years ago about trimming your pumpkins. The comment was, I was really scared to trim back my pumpkins because I thought I would kill them. Thank you so much for this video. The video that we did indicates and instructs you that as your pumpkins are growing, you can trim back the growth tips to prevent more growth and provide and make the plant focus on fruit development rather than continue to grow, because a pumpkin will grow virtually forever if the temperatures do not kill it and it gets too cold. So you trim back those up to the fruit that you're growing, and it actually stresses the plant a little bit and produces more energy for fruit production rather than plant growth. So that was a comment there, and many of you have pumpkins growing now in which you can do that too. Another question was, why does broccoli not grow good for you in your garden?
We don't know. Honestly, we don't know. We can grow other things of the brassica family, like cauliflower. Cabbage, kale,
kohlrabi,
Brussels sprouts. We can grow all that. We can't grow broccoli. And I've heard of this happening for people with other different types of plants, and I think sometimes it's just dumb, weird, not gardener's luck.
Yeah,
there's no explanation.
We've accepted the fact that we are unable to grow cabbage, cauliflower, and broccoli.
I think if you can't grow something and you try again, let it go. Be like Elsa.
You had a question from a friend that came in this week.
So my friend just bought a house. Congratulations to her. And she wants to know, what can she do now to get ready for spring when she wants to plant a garden?
Number one, look up. You want to see where the shade is throughout the day,
especially
if there is
right
shade
now,
anywhere. Okay.
Because all the trees are super full. Yeah.
Secondly, you want to get your soil tested where you intend or want to have a garden. If you're going to do in-ground, if you're going to do raised beds, you don't have to worry about it. You can start building the frames, bring the purple cow compost in, fill the beds, you're done. If you're going to do in-ground gardening, number one, you want to get a soil test in the area in which you're intending to grow, because if the soil has toxicity in it, it makes no sense to go any farther than that step. Revert over to a raised bed method and be done. If you get the soil test and it's fine, then
okay. So if it's fine, but you also, I totally lost my thought.
Okay.
I guess the biggest thing is that do research, look to where you're going to plant, And if you're not, on our website, that's what I was going to get
Okay.
to. We have a segment, we had a segment called First Gardener, New Gardener. And that's very helpful.
It's called Plan Your Plot.
Plan your plot.
And once the soil test comes back,
No, I mean the whole series.
right, the whole series.
First Gardener, New
yeah.
Gardener, definitely
Right.
good
It takes you through the steps of what, if you have nothing, you know nothing, we walk you through the steps. Real quickly, you take, once the soil test comes back clean, you want to take black plastic and cover the area in which you're going to grow next year. Solarize the area, which kills off the seeds and the plants and the weeds. And then in the spring next year, you can remove that plastic. The soil is clean, and then you can begin revitalizing it with compost. You can till it up at that point because you've basically baked that soil, the seeds, and all the grass, so you don't have a whole lot to deal with when it comes to weeding and removing the roots and all of that you would if you just went into a backyard right now and started digging.
Right.
We do have time for a few more questions here. Let's see. Mike emailed or messaged us through our Facebook page, the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener, and he picked some tomatoes. And he said you should try to cut off the blight as much as possible on the bottom of the plants, correct? I don't have much foliage left on my tomatoes. Well, that is correct. You want to remove that early blight. That's that discolorization of the lower leaves that progressively works itself up the plant. By the end of the season, you have stalks, fruit, and no leaves. The plant is dead. You want to remove that every 2 to 3 weeks. We go through and clean that up, the bottom 6 to 8 inches, get that all clean so it's just stalk from the soil up for 6 to 8 inches to prevent soil splash up. That's where this problem is coming from. We try to mulch as much as we can to prevent that soil splash up. Now, what you want to be aware of, and the thing is, you don't, Mike indicated you want to cut all of that off. Yes, you do, but also you want to leave some of the plant's foliage on there. Now, if you want to get rid of all that dead-looking yellow discolorization leaves, because that's not helping the plant at all. That's a diseased leaf. It's not going to recover. So you want to remove that. You want to kind of keep in mind that you want to remove no more than about 25% of the overall foliage on a particular plant, no matter what you're talking about, whether removing some infected leaves on a squash plant because it has powdery mildew, or early blight on a tomato plant. Now, if you have to remove more than that to remove all that damage, that's fine, but it's kind of the general rule of keeping that in mind. Just don't strip the plant completely bare, because then it's going to go in a recovery mode instead of a production state, and you really have hurt yourself in the long run. But remove all that damaged material, that infected material. That's step number one, and then mulch around the plant to prevent any additional soil splash up on the plant, and keep that bottom 6 to 8 inches clean on a regular basis. All right, next question here. Are rutabaga greens edible? Are the top of the rutabagas edible? And the answer to that is yes, the tops of the rutabagas are edible. You may want to, if you're going to grow them for edible portion, not if you're working on the rutabaga greens instead of the bulb, you'll want to harvest them when they're young because they're going to be more tender. Now, if you're trying to grow for the bulb, we don't want to remove the top, because the top is what is needed to absorb the sunlight in order to develop the bulb. So keep that in mind. But if they're older, they're going to be very chewy, and they're not going to be very good. They're going to probably have insect damage as well. So keep that in mind. They are edible. Now, if you go to turnip greens, there are specific types of varieties of turnips that are grown for the green tops. They do not produce a bulb, but then there are varieties in which are developed or grown for the bulb and not for the top consumption. Keep that in mind if you're looking at wanting to grow greens. Look to see if there's a variety in which nature has designed it to grow just the greens and not the bulb in addition to that. We are out of time, and we always appreciate you joining us on the program, taking a little time out of your day to be part of our little show. Coming up next week, programming note, join us as we're going to talk about building your soil for a better garden next year. Some things that you can do that are free and some things that you may need to purchase in order to help revitalize that soil that you're growing in, whether it's raised beds, containers, or the traditional ground, as well as cold frames, getting them ready for winter growing, as well as we'll always have a great guest with us. Miss any portion of this program or want to revisit it in its entirety, you can certainly do that by going to the website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, and clicking on the radio tab at the top of the page. That gives you access to full in-studio video as well as full podcast of all the programs that we have ever done on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener radio series. As well as if you want a specific interview or individual highlight or topic, you can click on the highlight tab on the right-hand side of the main page. Until next week, for Holly Baird, I'm Joey Baird, and we will see you in the garden.
You've been listening to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show. Tell a friend and join Joey and Holly again next week so we can all grow together. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show is a production of the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com in association with WI Garden Media Broadcast live from the WNOV 860 AM and the W293CX 106.5 FM Courier Communication Studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.